we have a wonderful panel here today. One of my oldest friends, not to give away our age, and one of the people I find the funniest on earth, Anuvab Pal, ladies and gentlemen, right here with us, and Sonali Gupta, whose book I've just read, and I have to say it's made me quite anxious. It's called Anxiety. It's called Anxiety: Overcome It and Live Without Fear. So it's also prescriptive, thank God. But Anuvab, I want to begin with you because I think all of us in this doom and gloom need a laugh. How do we find things funny when there's so much anxiety, pain, and trauma all around us?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I think the word I hear most often is the new normal.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Now we're supposed to get used to the new normal.
Hmm.
And every day the new normal is crazier and crazier. Tomorrow, if I start bending down and walking like a dog and barking, people will say that's Anuvab's new normal. And how are people adjusting so quickly to the new normal? This is a question I have actually for Sonali. Like how quickly, Sonali, people have adjusted. Like day one, there's a pandemic. Day
Yeah.
two, my friends are like, we are baking at home. How are they adjusting? Why are they spending 12 hours saying, my God, I'm going crazy, I'm going to shoot someone? Like, where is that time?
Yeah.
So I think that's productivity guilt that is speaking for everyone. So now that there's a new normal, you want to maximize and you want to do everything possible. And some people are seeing it as like a great adaptation, right? So to them, it is like this is the time to be most productive and where you do everything possible that you needed an upgrade in life, skills that you never did. You will bake, you not just bake, you post them on IG and on all WhatsApp groups. It
Yeah.
doesn't stop
Yeah,
at just baking, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
You have to show the world that you're baking, right, Anubhav?
yeah,
That's important.
yeah. And also, I don't know if you guys are seeing this. One person posts a photo saying, I'm baking.
Huh.
One person said, there's no food in Odisha. Then it becomes a whole different thing.
Right.
Becomes a fight about has been, have and have nots. It becomes an economic thing. Then a third lady or gentleman posts a photo of different bread and it's all forgotten.
So
And
the
to
new
add,
normal is also changing as we speak. 1 minute the new normal, as you said, Anubhav, it could be you asking, uh, being a dog who's barking, or it could be us on balconies, sort of beating thalis and ringing bells. Another day it could be us switching off the lights as we did. We seem to be a very obedient lot, right? Is that surprising you?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm looking for more creative tasks. Like I'm
Hmm.
hoping after 4 weeks, the Prime Minister will tell us to stay awake till 4 in the morning for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm expecting slightly I'm all for it, but I think the tasks are too easy. I'm
Right.
hoping he complicates the tasks a little more.
So it's like being in Big Boss.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have this disembodied voice telling you what is your task for the day.
In fact, every Sunday I miss it. Like if last Sunday he told me, जाओ उस फ्लैट में जाके झाड़ू पोछा करो, at least I'll have something to do.
Yeah.
And Sonali, I wonder what will happen when tasks are taken away from us. Like if we get into this life,
Yeah.
I
the
often
withdrawal
wonder
will
just,
kick in. The
yeah,
withdrawal,
Yeah.
like someone told me, like, so this older adult that I work with, who's 65,
Yeah.
said for 5 weeks I didn't get out of the house.
Right.
The neighbors would get the vegetables, everything, and said that one day had to, get into the lift and go down. And said it was so disorienting. It took me 5 minutes after getting into the lift to understand that I had to press the button. Maybe 5 minutes was an exaggeration, but
Right.
like 2 to 5 minutes just to make sense of what was happening. So as Anubhav is saying, I don't know how people are going to acclimatize themselves to what's happening. Like I live very close to, the railway tracks, there, and for the first time in last 14 years, there is no train passing.
Right.
Now I'm like, I don't know how I'll get sleep when trains start working. They will start working at some
Yeah.
point.
Right.
So I don't know. So, as you're rightly saying, I don't know how we are going to now again come back to the new normal.
Right. Sonali, are you getting a lot of people online who are, asking you, how do I cope with this? I'm feeling anxious. What are they feeling most anxious about?
So I think one thing that most people are feeling anxious about is that there is no timeline to it, right?
Ah,
So nobody really knows when is this ending.
right.
And, as I talk about even in the book, that our anxiety is about we not having control over the future, what's going to happen in the
Right.
future. The second is people are feeling lonely in their own homes.
Right.
So a lot of people, are struggling with space at their home. So I have clients who go down to their terrace to do the sessions, who will go down to their car, put the AC on, move the car a little, out so that their network, and will call, to people who will shut the door and will say at some point I may have to enter the washroom because that's the only place I can talk.
Right.
So I think there's massive anxiety also about that loss of space that people are experiencing.
Right.
I think there's collective grief over the fact that we have lost that freedom, the liberty. And also a lot of people are feeling claustrophobic. I think along with that, job loss, pay cuts, you know, and I think the gender divide is very massive, so couple sessions, in India, we are all very privileged, right? Like I had enough staff to do enough work for me, you
Right.
know, and now suddenly you have to cook, you have to fill the bottles, you have to, and if I were abroad, I would do all these by myself, right?
Yes.
Like a joke in my friend circle is, ये खत्म हो जाएगा सबसे पहले we'll buy a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Why didn't we buy the dishwasher?
Yeah.
So I think within couples now there's also argument over those gender roles where
Right.
people are wondering who should be doing what,
Right.
where do we draw boundaries, and women and men differ in the burnout that they are experiencing at this stage. And I think a huge population, one of the signs of anxiety is also people not being able to sleep. And I think now a lot of people report this massive insomnia, or they get up at 2 or 3 and will check the phone and will not go off to sleep for the next 2 hours.
Right.
So those are, and panic attacks, of course.
Right. You were talking about a gender divide. In what sense? Are the women complaining more? The men are complaining more? I suspect the men are complaining more. We'll
Uh,
talk about that.
Men
I
always complain more.
So my problem is that even if men are complaining more, I'm not sure if men are getting in touch with their feelings or what they are experiencing.
Ah,
A lot of them are also struggling because for them also, now they've never been home for such long duration.
hmm,
There was never a time they were surrounded with kids constantly. Now your child is being homeschooled, like a client of mine put it, saying all four of us are on Zoom calls. It's like everybody is, and the network is bad, and I don't know what to do. I want to run away, but there's nowhere to run away. And there are a lot of women who now feel that they need to adapt to this so-called new normal, but they have to work. Some of them, like most people I work with, also hold their own careers, and now they feel they also have to do the household work.
right.
So they feel that their burnout is massive, and they feel guilty about whether they should articulate their issues or not articulate their issues. And I think even for men, who are losing their jobs, there are massive deep pay cuts happening.
Yeah.
I think there's also anxiety from a provider role,
Right.
that what's going to happen in the months to come and everything. And honestly, I would be really happy if men complained and reached out in therapy and got in touch with their feelings, So I'm okay, Anubhav, till the time they are complaining and they're learning to process their feelings. My concern is that we have conditioned, like men have been conditioned to told that you have to deal with difficult times. So professionally,
Yeah,
how? So,
yeah.
male, yes. So male clients will say, this is a hard time. I will work from 7 in the morning to 10 in the night. And women, on the other hand, will say, this is a hard time. I will manage my home and I will also manage my job. Now, both of them are at a risk of a burnout. And that's why, the anxiety shows up in men and women so differently.
Right.
Well, luckily, Sonali, I'm Bengali, so I have given up on being the provider a long time ago. I just turn to my partner and say, "I'll eat whatever you're providing." This is the stat. Why my one request to men in this situation, because everybody's home, right? You made two really interesting observations. My one request to men through this pandemic is, as Indian men, we don't have the best looking physique on the planet. Okay, we are not Spanish men, we are not French men, we are not Swedish men. We look like we do, half man, half walrus. I'm 42, that's how I look. Okay. Only thing you can do as a decent man is to be civilized, is just wear pants if you're going to walk behind your wife or your girlfriend's Zoom call. That's all. She could be on an important work call. Just have pants on. Have that much respect. It could be a bank sales call. It could be an advertising call. Just please put some pants on. That's all I ask of men. I'm a man. I don't have much expectations from Indian men. I'm one myself. But this is just a basic thing. If we can start there, I think we'll get some.
What is your expectation from women at this point, Anubhav?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I just, I want to go back to what Sonali said. I think it's a fascinating time for families.
Right.
Because if you've got young children, in the world we used to live in, everyone's out, right?
Yeah.
Your wife or your partner are out, busy making their lives. Your children, are out in school, then evening piano lesson, badminton lesson, this lesson. So the family for years and years hasn't actually been together. So I think one of the questions they're asking each other back at home is, who are you? Like many years ago, I fell in love with this woman, but who is this woman now? I don't know who she is. When did my son get so good in physics? I haven't, because I was out in the, people don't know their own families.
Right.
Like, who are these people? Are they good people, bad people? I have no idea. Because everyone was busy making their own life.
Right. Has there been any good realization, or is it all just shock and, horror?
No, so, sorry, Sonali, please go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I just have a very quick one, it's really a question about how you guys are adapting to this, because I don't know what good behavior is in a pandemic. I'll tell you what I mean. Earlier, good behavior is you were polite to elderly people, you listened, you tried to be gracious. So I'm going to whisper and tell you guys this because I'm doing it from my flat. So my neighbors live across. I'm pointing. They live there. They are very nice. Senior citizens. Kaveri, you told me senior citizen, not the word. What is the word?
Now called older adults.
Older adults. So they are older adults. Very fit, very lovely. So first day when the lockdown happened, I politely said, "Uncle, Auntie, I'm going to the market. Do you want anything?"
Right.
They said, "We'd like some broccoli. We'd like some mushrooms. We're making a soup." So I got them broccoli mushrooms. Next day, I asked again, and I got them. Third day, I wasn't going to the market.
Right.
They came to my flat, knocked and said, "Can you please go to the market?" And they gave me a list. Now, I've realized in 1 month, I'm their servant. Now my dilemma is I can't get out of it. Can I ask for money? I don't know what to do. I don't know what the new normal is over here.
That's really a weird problem to have. Shunali, what is the solution to something like this?
I don't know what's the solution to it. I'm sure Anubhav knows the solution to it. I'm sure he has found a hack to manage it. What's the new hack, Anubhav? Tell us. How do you manage it?
I don't know, Sonali.
Not open the door?
No, that's one good trick. But then, see, this is a pandemic. If I'm not opening the door, where am I? I have to be in my house. Where am I?
Exactly.
I'm easily found.
Right.
And now when I go down, if I pass the responsibility to my watchman,
Yeah.
my watchman says, "नहीं नहीं साहब आपको ही बोला है जाने."
Right.
So I have to go. I have no other. So I
Right.
think we're going to have many of these. Like this reminds me of the 90s, 80s Doordarshan show, like Ye Jo Hai Zindagi.
Ha,
I feel
ha,
like
ha.
we're living in that kind of a situation
Yeah.
where we're living in a sitcom of some kind.
Yeah. In fact, for us who were sort of, you're younger than I am, but people of the 70s and 80s, this is not so unusual. I mean, we're used
Yeah,
to this sort of life, you know. It's just that we
yeah,
have more
yeah,
television channels now, you know. But in some way, the shortages, the queues, it's actually quite familiar, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think for the, I think for a lot of millennials, like I am an elder millennial, as elder as one gets at
Yeah.
38,
Huh.
I don't think millennials get older than that. And I think for us, for Gen Z and millennials who are far younger than me, this is a very new setup, where suddenly, you're spending so much time at home. And, coming back to what Anubhav was also saying, I think for all of us, this pandemic is going to be a good test of our boundaries,
Right.
in some ways. And also I say that one way to deal with anxiety is to learn to set healthy internal boundaries.
Right.
And I'm saying internal because external boundaries are very common with oh usko block kar dete hain, usko unfollow kar dete
Right.
hain, so
Right.
they are out of our mind. I think this entire pandemic is going to become a good sense of when to engage with whom, when not to engage, when to maintain a distance, when to, say, like I really believe that you hit the iron when it's cold. So
Yeah.
I think this pandemic, with everybody living together in one house, I think it's a test of that you learn to have conversations even with family members at times when they can listen to you, they can be receptive. And, maybe also figure, I think a long term way is to learn to deal with guilt, is to separate selfishness from self compassion.
Right.
Where what am I doing that's for my own self compassion?
Right.
And
Anubhav,
Indians have a peculiar problem with it.
in
Sorry?
what sense? In what sense? What problem do they have with that whole idea of self-compassion?
अगर मैंने so women will say कि on a sun I work all day, I work all week long, and now if even on Sunday I have to go and get my eyebrows done or like that facial once in 3 6 months, not even like every month, I feel massively guilty
Yeah.
because I'm not spending time with my family. Men will also say, I can't cut myself slack and even like go on a month sabbatical. Like a lot of people I work with want to, deal with sabbaticals. That's in fact one of the chapters in the book also. But they'll say, Arey, I can't take that sabbatical. That's like just selfish behavior. So I
Right.
feel Indian culture, you're taught कि आप जो भी करो सबके लिए करो.
Right.
You should be very giving to your family. You should do things where you're like, like when you get married, right? Like so many families, the mother will say, take care of everyone in the family.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
advice is not take care of yourself
Right.
and you please take care of others, right?
Right.
So I think Indians have this peculiar thing with selfishness and then self-compassion. You need self-compassion to survive. All of us need that self-compassion. If
Right.
we are not going to have it, I don't think we are going to survive this pandemic or our life in general because of the demands that are being made.
Right. Anubhav, you had something to say about that?
Well, two things.
Yes.
One, your observation is absolutely correct, Kaveri. I grew up in Calcutta in the 80s where we used to have a Bandh every other day.
Yeah.
Right? So the fruit wala, the vegetable wala, the fish wala, the meat wala, he'd come outside.
Right.
Now I live in a building where above me and below me there are flats which have millennials, like kids in
Right.
their 20s.
Yeah.
So and our building recently got a fishmonger, a guy who was carrying fish. He came under the building, was shouting, "I've got fresh
Right.
fish." How we
Yeah.
used to do it in the old days. So
Yeah.
that that one guy, he was downstairs on his phone, this millennial kid from the flat above me. He said, "Uncle, what's this?" I, s- I said, "This is a fishmonger. You've never seen a fishmonger." He said, "Like what? Like in the movies?" I was like, "No, not in the movies. Like you haven't seen one in life." And I realized he wouldn't have, because he
Right,
shops in food hall, Nature's Basket with his parents. He wouldn't. There's no context. Like he wouldn't have
right,
seen it in his life.
right,
That a guy goes house to house selling anda and
Yes.
bread and milk on a cycle. He's not seen that. It's mind blowing for him. And
right.
I have a question for Sonali. I'm all for sort of compassion and listening to family members, because I think it is a time of just being sensitive and being able to listen. But what do I do? What do I do on family WhatsApp groups? This is a serious question.
Uh,
When one crazy uncle, it's always an uncle, it's always an Indian
yeah,
man about 50,
uh,
who basically who has no filter from here to here,
right.
who will write something like, "I've read a research report from Princeton University. Please wear gloves and socks when you sleep because the virus dies."
Right,
Like,
right.
what do you do when nonsense comes on your own family WhatsApp group? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
What I
What do
do
you
and
tell that uncle?
what do you
what
say? He's on the group with your parents and everybody, and you have to show respect and all of that. But he's a
Yeah,
madman.
so then so then you set internal boundaries. Like I say in the group, I said in the book also, muting is also sometimes an act of self-preservation. You mute some groups, you choose to
Yeah.
not engage
yeah,
with them. So I would, so when this entire pandemic also started, I chose for 1 week to mute all groups because I was like, I'm getting enraged at various things that are being posted.
hmm,
Now I can either preserve my own sanity, and then I told myself I need to set internal boundaries. So
right.
coming back, these groups will trigger anxiety in all of us.
Yeah,
And Anubhav, these conversations are part of every therapy session.
right.
Every client will tell me, what do I do with that person who's posting about this new elaborate burgers they made when I too don't even have eggs to eat, and they're posting these
Yeah,
pictures,
yeah, yeah.
and then they are saying 5 step stages to make these burgers, and I'm just like pulling my hair. And then there's somebody who says, there's this aunt who's saying that the cure has been found. What do I do? The best that you can do is to disengage and just set internal boundaries, because we all don't have an, and to filter the feedback that they give us also, because
Yeah,
some of them will
Yeah.
also have stances against you for also being a centrist, someone who doesn't post all of it,
right.
right?
Yeah, all that, all that. But also sometimes I find myself doing this, and I'm sure there's a reason in mental health for it. And I want to know what you guys feel about this. Like Sonali, you said this thing earlier about the dishwasher. Like
Huh.
sometimes, say, I'll be talking to friends, and they'll say, "Oh, you are not getting broccoli in your neighborhood. I'm getting broccoli in my neighborhood." And then you
Right.
think, do I live in a bad neighborhood? You start doubting your own thing.
Yeah,
Like someone said, "Oh, butter is in shortage." They're like,
Yeah.
I thank God I don't live where they live. Like you start thinking you have some advantages, a disadvantage, but ultimately it does, because the lockdown is so weird. Like even now, a lot of people are posting, we don't know what's allowed, what's not allowed.
right.
In
Yes.
a red zone, you do not have booze. The thing that I have found most funny,
Yeah,
I am not a big drinker, but apparently a lot of men and women my age need a lot of alcohol, especially
yeah,
friends in the corporate world. You know,
right.
I'm in the artistic world, things are crazy enough. So I don't drink that much, but in the corporate world, my friends are going crazy.
Yeah.
And the craziest story I heard is day before yesterday, there was a smuggler, a bootlegger, going around in a fake ambulance
God, really?
delivering alcohol. And
That's
everyone and
really funny.
everyone on my friends group said, "Huh, you call him, this is his number, he'll come in a fake ambulance." Not one person asked, how did he get a fake ambulance?
Fake ambulance.
Shouldn't that be the first question?
Yeah,
People are immediately asking, does he have wine? Does he have vodka? Someone ask him how he has a fake ambulance. Let's start there.
this is amazing. But this is what the shortages are doing to people. They really. I think their worst fears and their worst themselves are coming forward. Oh, but it's fun to write about. Is that does this give you a lot of material? All those cow urine drinking parties and all that. Is that giving you a lot of material to write?
But you heard that in Muzaffarpur the other day, there's a guy who stood in a long line. His mother had sent him to get chal dal atta.
Uh-huh.
He came back 2 days later with a wife.
Well done.
He had chal dal atta and an arranged marriage. Then he came back. He was so I think so. What is interesting me, like, and I think that there is a serious side to this, which I'm sure Sonali is seeing in the mental health area.
Yeah.
Where people are grappling. Um, I am seeing it in social behavior because as writers and comedians, it's our job to observe.
Yes.
Changes in social behavior. Like I was standing in line for bread at the local market just 5 minutes from my house. I go get fresh bread in the morning,
Right.
and there's a lady in front of me. I went with a friend. Okay,
Right.
so my friend and I had some social distance.
Right.
The lady turned to us, and she was quite in front of us, and she turned
Right.
to us and said, "Both of you are not maintaining enough social distance."
Right.
Me, and then she said, "Maybe you're doing it without realizing. So please separate
Right.
from each other. Like we're not talking to her. She
Right.
was in front.
Right.
She told us, and then my friend also said, sorry, sorry. And
Yeah.
then she separated. So
Right.
I don't know what the new behavior is. Like, is that the norm now? Like, where people will come and tell you, oh, you are married to him. Okay, just stay very far away.
Yeah. I mean,
Which I think Indian women should have been doing before the pandemic also. But I'm just saying.
so there's no sense of privacy. Anyway, Indians have a very loosely defined sense of privacy. Here, I
Yes.
think they're just the inner sort of social critic is just coming out and saying whatever they feel like.
And
Anything.
I think also with what Anubhav is saying, I think also for a lot of people, anxiety is also becoming like with a sense of paranoia, right?
Right.
It's almost a paranoia that you're not following certain rules. What if something happens to me because of you? So there's a greater sense of paranoia and almost avoidance from each other. And
Right.
that's why I think when things get back to normal, I don't. I feel a lot more people will have problems that will emerge when we go back to the normal world in that sense.
Yeah. And
Yes.
what do you
Yes.
think?
So-called normal.
What do you think? What do you think the biggest problem will be?
I think one of the biggest concerns will be we we are not we have not really been interacting with each other, right? And we are in our own homes. We are very safe.
Right.
Now, even simple things we will want to double check. I think, the nature of anxiety is that it's obsessive. So if one thought is stuck
Right.
in your head, it goes into a loop of overthinking. Now, I think people will obsess over things, where they would want to double check, they would want to triple check, they would also feel far more insecure about things. And I think a lot of people who are now at home working long hours, they will also have massive burnout when they have to go back to the normal because now they have set those kind of expectations,
Right.
right? Now, emails come at 11 in the night. And some of these people tell me, listen, our boss said to send you the email that time, and that's how I sent you at 11 in the night. In my head, it is like, okay, it's not good for anyone.
Right.
So my worry is that from a workplace anxiety perspective,
Yeah.
we are setting ourselves for expectations, for the idea that it's normal to send emails at 11.
Right.
It's normal that you get up at 7, you look at your phone and you start responding to messages.
Right.
And I think for me, those are bigger problems. Like, I feel from a workplace anxiety perspective, a lot of people in therapy reach out for anyways work concerns. I think now that sense of, now the bedroom is the space where you sleep, where you have sexual intimacy, where also you work from.
Right.
So now
Yeah.
it's all mishmashed at the end of the day. And people have no closure rituals. Like people don't know when their day starts and when their day ends. It all blends in. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons for anxiety for a long time. But with the pandemic, it has just magnified.
Right. Anuvab, that's also great material for comedy, right?
No, she's absolutely right. This stuff is happening. No, like my friend, his wife sent him a photo of what to get from one of the shops. There's basically oranges, the kind of oranges she wanted. So he
Right.
was working. He sent his boss a photo of 6 oranges. And his boss is like, "What do you want me to do with this? What am I going to do with 6 oranges?" Like,
Squeeze
like it's
them
all
and make a juice.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And
so
I'll tell you the one thing that I'm seeing, which I'm loving, I'm absolutely loving this, which is on any work call,
Yeah.
right? I don't work in the corporate world, but my corporate friends are telling me this. The first thing that they're seeing is whether the colleague's house is nicer than their house.
Ah.
So they're
Right.
trying to look, like, Arey, he's got the nice chandelier, not
Yeah.
bad. But then he's thinking, how is he getting paid more than, like
Okay. So
he's
all
going
that is
there.
happening too.
Yeah.
I think our intimacy, how much we know about others has changed so much, right? Like now
Yeah.
all my clients have access to this couch where I sit with, where I would watch television from. Now they will see, they know that. I have met my clients' cats, dogs, their babies, because and their, and everybody I've had access to, because they are doing a session and their dog will come and sit next to them and their cat will be purring in the background, and there's a little child who will come and somebody will not realize that mom is on the call and will shout loudly and ask something very weird. So I think the narrative of
Yeah.
intimacy has completely changed, with what's happening now.
Right.
It's like a completely new world, and I don't think we even have a template for the world we will go back to.
I have a question for you from Vanita Rungta Shonali. What can you suggest for insomnia?
Okay, so I think one is, if your insomnia is coming, from a space where when something like a pandemic is happening or when you struggle with anxiety, the brain generally overthinks and thinks about the worst case scenario,
Right.
which is known as catastrophizing. Now, the thing to remember is that brain cannot separate between a real stressor and an imagined stressor.
Right.
Our brain will react to a real and an imagined stressor in the same way.
Right.
So sometimes, if the insomnia is linked to pandemic or to anxiety, if the insomnia is coming from thinking about what's going to happen in the future, let's say that my health of my family members will be impacted, or
Right.
I may have a job loss, then in all those cases, your brain is already catastrophizing and you're going in a fight flight state where you're really, really alert. So the idea is to learn and decatastrophize and say that I need to stay in the present. I need to become mindful of it
Right.
and consciously remind yourself again and again that the brain, like in my experience, and there's even research that says that the brain is not capable of experiencing a real and an imagined stressor. That's why also, while everything is taken away in the current situation, and I'm sure Anuva, will also say this, our imagination is still in our control, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are also capable, whether it's humor, whether it's our capability. Like I often envision like my favorite restaurant and thinking, sometime I will go and eat there. So that on bad days it keeps me going. And I think coming back to sleep, maybe technology is a huge part of our
Yeah.
anxiety. And I think it's most important that all of us learn to switch off.
Yeah.
In the book, there's something I call as that we all have the itch, where the itch is कि अभी जाके देखो क्या notification आई है, क्या updates हुए हैं, कितने cases हुए हैं. I think we need to like switch off our phones at least half an hour, 1 hour before we are sleeping. And if you can't do any of it, please keep your phone in the locker. Please do it. I know people who do it. Please do that. Leave the phone in the other room, but find a way to not look at the phone. Like people will say, I get up at 3, 4 in the night to pee. I look at my phone to see the time. I'm like, why do you need to see the time? Are you going to do anything? No. Then please go back to sleep. And they say, तो time देखो और दो और message भी देख ली है Slack पे, work group पे. And, so that comes in the way of our, day-to-day functioning, and also in terms of our insomnia. it makes us hyper alert.
Right. So I'm going to ask both of you for, the last comments. Anubhav, I'll go to you first. What are your 2 or 3 tips of how to deal with the anxiety caused by the pandemic, insomnia, whatever? What are
See,
your tips?
the first thing is what Sonali said. I totally agree with that, which is most people I know think because we live in such a quick world,
Yeah.
quick solutions. Okay, yeah, all right, this will quickly end. People can't get their head around the fact that this is a virus. We may have to live with it. So the reason everyone is going to their phone, I'm doing the same thing, is to get a message that said vaccine found, virus over. They're hoping. All of us are
I
hoping.
think that's beautifully
9
put.
o'clock at night, we'll get a message. Virus done. So people will like, chalo, let's go out.
Right.
That's, I think, the hope that people have. And I think the faster they come to the realization that we're never getting a message like that. It's a virus.
Yeah.
It's not a Mumbai Indians match. You're not going to get it. It says, virus is done. So I know so many people keep looking at their phone saying, they found a cure or what? They found a cure.
Yeah.
Like, no, you imbecile. Even a test has to remain in the human body for a year to figure out if the vaccine has any alternative effect. So you're not going to get a message at 12 o'clock from Shirish in sales. They found a vaccine.
Right.
Right. So I think that is one of the things. And I think the other thing that both of you said, which I think is interesting, is people will still be people, right?
Yeah.
Like we will still have the people you hate, you'll still hate. All the petty things that bother you will still bother you. I'll tell you one of the things I miss the most, which is when a friend had made dinner plans, okay, and say I live in Bandra and the dinner was in Andheri, and we were preparing to go, but already we were thinking long drive, etc.
Right.
And then the night before, message comes saying, "Guys, sorry, have to reschedule."
Right.
I love that. I love that I want to stay at home, but I want that to be my decision. That's all.
Right. Right.
I'm saying that is another lovely thing but I think the biggest way that I found out is that, I don't know, Sonali will know much more about this than I do, is, and I think working in the arts in India gives you some idea of it, which is there are many, many things out of your control. Many things.
Yeah.
Many things. I mean, Kaveri, we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
There was a film I'd written for Rohan Sippy, directed by Kunal Roy Kapoor, called President is Coming.
President is Coming. How lovely it was.
You were kind enough to watch. Now, on the premiere night of that film,
Right.
the premiere night, Bombay was attacked by Lashkar.
Yeah.
Right. So from that day, I've realized there are things in your control and there are things out of your control.
Yeah.
And things that are out of your control, if I'm complaining that my shows are cancelled, Wimbledon is cancelled.
Yeah. The Olympics are cancelled. Yeah.
So who am I? So I think it's helping. I'm saying these things to you and to Sonali, but I don't know, like many of Sonali's clients, I probably don't follow them. Like it's easy to say, hard to follow. Because I'll say don't look at your phone 3 o'clock. I'll be the first person looking at my phone at 3 in the morning. So, but I think one thing that's helped me is just thinking there are things that even if I'm the nicest person in the world or the most terrible person, it's out of my control. So just take it a day at a time.
Right. Anubhav, there's just a quick question for you again from Vanita Rumta. Anubhav, enjoyed your witty stories. Are you planning to do a webinar for your humor? Would love to laugh along.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that our whole business model has changed, right? We are live performers doing comedy in front of a live audience, and somehow I don't see comedy being opened up as an essential service.
It should be, but it won't.
For good reason, right? Let everybody.
Sorry, we already have Arnab Goswami for that. We forgot.
Correct. So, and he's going to many other houses, and see, once he's doing that, then we are but small fry.
Who are you?
He's the Olympics.
So, but to get back to the whole idea of doing webinars for humor.
Yeah, so we're starting starting Zoom shows. My colleague Atul Khatri just did one yesterday. I think Amit Tandon has started. We're figuring what the best way to do it is. I think it helps to do smaller numbers of shows where you can talk to people. I think converse like we're conversing. I think that really helps. So my answer to Vinita is absolutely. In fact, I think for the next year, you'll see a lot of comedians only doing shows online.
But may I just take you back to some of the comments that you said you got for a show that you did, because we didn't have the audience then. That was quite funny.
Yeah, so I've done a few shows, and I was telling Sonali and Kaveri for some older adults in Bangalore, and they were I say older adults, they were in their 70s, but younger than me mentally, because they came to Instagram Live, and I tried to do a show like a normal show. I said, "Hey, good evening, hi Bangalore," and the first comment was, "Change your shirt."
Okay.
And the
Anubhav, I
next
have
comment was,
another.
"Is that your real hair?"
Given that you don't have much, but Anubhav, we have another quick question from Rana
Exactly.
Basuthakur. Anubhav, can you do a Benglish series on the pandemic, just like your school days? Rana from Calcutta.
See, Bengalis, I do a lot of stuff about, because I am from Calcutta, I live in Bombay.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that if the virus was a person, a Bengali would argue with him. You know, because Bengalis don't listen to anybody. How they are staying at home, I have no idea. By now, 4 Bengali physicists have come up with some theory of how this virus is alive.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure.
yeah. So only Bengalis have this question that there is a normal India, then there is a Bengali India, which is parallel. In Bengali India, they've already had the vaccine, they moved on, and they've made a mishti out of the coronavirus, which they actually have as a side.
Right. Great. Sonali, quick tips from you on how to overcome this anxiety. 1 second. From Pulkit to all panelists, Anubhav, how do you think a hardcore pious Tam Ram will handle this lockdown? Handle this lockdown on the 40th day?
Listen, I'm already upset by the pious Tambrams because by now they should have written a long mathematical equation and solved this virus.
Right.
The fact that it's taken them 40 days is upsetting me. How are they running all the IITs and they don't have a mathematical equation that can somehow wipe out this virus? I'm disappointed. I guess the only way they'll do it is by listening to some great music from the Hindu Music Festival.
Which will have to be on Zoom also.
On Zoom, they can have the Carnatic Music Festival. Yeah.
Sonali, your last couple of thoughts on how we can overcome our anxieties.
I think one, I think we can learn to manage anxiety, you know, but technically it's impossible to not be anxious, in general. And I think anxiety in general is also, from an evolutionary perspective, it's a protective mechanism, right? Like some amount of anxiety is healthy. I think what people need to, learn is that as we are coping with it, to recognize that uncertainty by itself is not a negative term, right? Uncertainty is a neutral term. It can go both ways. But I think people often think of uncertainty as negative in itself, I think one. I think on a short-term basis, anxiety finds a way to get locked in our physical body. So whether it's headache, whether it's backaches, nape of the neck, whether it's stomach issues, whether it's skin issues like blotches, urticaria, anxiety gets locked in the physical body. So I think even in times like today, it's very important for us to find ways to deal with the physical manifestation of anxiety. And maybe whether it's in the context of working out, whether it's in the context of dance videos, whether even if it's in the context of going for a walk, if you have that option, or like a client, like 80-year-old mom walks for like half an hour within their own home. It's very important for us to deal with that anxiety, which is, stuck in the physical body.
And I think let's not see this period as a period where, we need to give it like it's a test of we need to manage ourselves, but we also, in the book, I talk about something known as, a term I came up with during my burnout called pause rituals.
Right.
I feel we need to have rituals on a daily basis that allow us to take a pause. So on a daily basis, figuring and doing something that allows you to feel centered. Like if I would listen to music, I would just listen to music and not look at the phone.
Right.
Or, if I'm watching something on an OTT platform, I'll not check my phone because it's almost people are with the people, multitasking is overrated.
Yeah.
And I think what people, right? And I think, one of the biggest things that came up for me during writing this book in the last year was one of the research studies I read said that when we are moving our attention between two tasks, our brain takes 23 minutes, 15 seconds to come back to the original task.
Oh, okay.
And my mind was just blown by it because I was like, okay, that's like a lot of time for the brain to come back to pay attention to.
Right.
So I think it's very important that people choose to recognize it and they don't overstretch themselves, right? We have told ourselves we need to be on a Zoom call. I also need to be messaging, someone. And that's how maybe the orange situation happened. The Anubhav example, that Anubhav gave possibly. So I think recognize that monotasking is an important way to manage your anxiety, and you need to find ways to monotask, and also know that anxiety can be managed. So if you're catastrophizing, if you're thinking this is never going to end, catch yourself. That's all or none thinking. It's not that after this things will move back to an absolute normal. I don't think we are going towards any absolutes in that sense. So I think learning that we may have to adapt to these shades of gray. And I think this pandemic also has been a great equalizer of thoughts, right? Like Anubhav, a lot of people, I work in the creative industry, say, one thing we have always learned is there are enough things outside our control.
Yeah.
And for us, adapting to this pandemic is easier because you have a show signed up and it will be flooded and you can't do the show.
Yeah.
Your promo date was 22nd and something tech glitch will happen. The promo date is moved to a week later.
Right.
You are signing a contract with OTT. वो 3 महीने तक contract approve हो गया है, contract आया ही नहीं है तब तक. So I think recognizing what is in our control and what is outside our control. So, figuring internal locus and external locus. And yes, as Anubhav said, that immediate gratification, we need to calm down and be realistic that there is no immediate cure for it, right?
Yeah.
We can only manage these fears and that's about it. That's the only way we can work around it.
Great. Anubhav, last word?
I'm going to follow exactly what tips Sonali gave me. Tonight, when I'm watching Netflix, I will not also be watching a recipe for how to make fried chicken on YouTube. I've done that. I'm watching one thing and then I'm doing another thing. The second, I'm looking at a recipe while I'm watching Netflix. I won't do that, Sonali. I promise you. I'll do one thing. What is the word you said? Monotasking. I'm going to focus on
monotasking.
Monotasking.
I'm going to monotask.
Yeah, one thing. And if you want to read more about it, you can read my book. HarperCollins has told me that I should share the book.
Yes, well done.
Yes. But the idea is, I think I could complete the book because I found this research and I chose to monotask, which was difficult because even I am guilty of doing that. The minute one scene is stretched out, my hand reaches out to the phone because it's like, I know what's going to happen. I'm just quickly going to have a sneak peek at the phone.
Great. Anubhav, anything else from you?
No, all I'm going to say is this is great to know, Sonali, because as a script writer, if I know that every sort of doctor and mental health professional is going to their iPad at the end of a scene, as a script writer, we should do something at the end of a scene, like kill a character. So,
but
your eyes will come.
But the cliffhanger endings work on just that, no? Because that's a dopamine drip.
Right.
Correct. Every 2 seconds, just kill someone you're not expecting. Because I know everyone is going to go back to their phone.
So I'm very amused, Anubhav, you're saying this. When I'm describing the example is of what a script writer is struggling with, and the script writer says that how he goes to Reddit after every few minutes and will check Reddit while he's writing the script, and how he has not managed to finish the script. That's the exact example. So this is eerie that you're saying this.
Great. Thank you, both of you. Thank you very much. And it was both fun and enlightening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the very best to both of you. And I hope your book does well. And Anubhav,
Thank you so much.
all the best for your shows. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kaveri. Thank you, Anubhav. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you for having us. Bye, Kaveri. Bye, Sonal.
Bye.
Bye.
Please like our social media handles and subscribe to our channel by clicking on the bell icon.